morning and welcome into First Take on this Memorial Day. We all want to thank those who continue to sacrifice and protect our country, our freedom. You are the true heroes. We appreciate you today and always. Thank you. Guys?
Molly, I appreciate you echoing those sentiments. Good morning. Hope you and Skip had a lovely weekend. Want to thank all of our fallen soldiers. We appreciate their efforts, their sacrifices, no doubt about it. Skip Bayless, allow me to say this. I've been covering the NBA for 20 years. I am so hyped for tonight. This is, when you cover this league, these are the kind of moments you wait for, you live for. It's not just about the Game 7. It's how it got to this point. Skip, I could not wait to be looking at you this morning to do this show. I'm so ready. I'm so ready for this. Woo!
Allow me to say, I have been covering the National Basketball Association, writing about it, talking about it, on air, in print, for almost 40 years. And to take nothing away from the Memorial Day, the reason for this holiday, this feels like a holiday to me in a basketball sense, because it does not get better than Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Steph versus Westbrook, Kevin Durant fighting for his Oklahoma City life against a record 73-win team, trying to come back from the 3-1 down dead. I don't know. I couldn't make it up. This is it. Very special.
Like a kid on Christmas morning. All right, gentlemen.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. The Western Conference Finals continue to not disappoint. Saturday night, the Warriors rallied from 8 points down in the fourth to force a Game 7. The Splash Brothers combining for 72 points. Golden State became the first team in 16 years to win a conference finals game in which they faced elimination and trailed by as many as 8 in the fourth. Stephen A., how do you explain what happened on Saturday night?
Well, there's a couple of ways to explain it. On the positive side, we'll go there first. The reigning defending NBA champions, led by a league MVP in Steph Curry, ultimately ended up being led by one who could make the case that he is indeed the best shooter in the game of basketball, and his name happens to be Klay Thompson. Skip, you know I've raved about Klay Thompson for quite some time, as has you. I think in making a contract in excess of $70 million, the Golden State Warriors have gotten away with a bargain, because this brother is one special ball player. He doesn't have the pretty handle and the ball handling skills of a Steph Curry. The showmanship, no, it's not there. But this dude is a sniper extraordinaire. He shows up under pressure. He shows up in big moments, and he shows up on both ends of the floor. And he was absolutely spectacular. As Charles Barkley said, his performance was utterly ridiculous. This dude was on another level Saturday night, and as far as I'm concerned, kept them in the game, because Steph Curry closed like he's capable of doing. But the Golden State Warriors collectively were not that great. But Klay Thompson was. So he showed up and obviously had 17 points in the fourth quarter, but ultimately Steph Curry stepped up and handled his business as well, sitting there, I think what he had, 29, 10 and 9. It was a very, very special performance on the part of Steph Curry, no doubt. That's the positive. The negative is this. I want to emphasize, I'm talking about just one game. I'm talking about just one performance. I religiously state that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are two of the 5 best players in the game. They are not stars. They are superstars, okay? And they're great ambassadors for the game of basketball. But we have to call it like we saw it. That was a choke job in Game 6. There is no other way to slice it. You commit 6 turnovers in the last 3 minutes of a game. You're Russell Westbrook, and you can commit 4 turnovers in the last 1 minute and 39 seconds. 3 turnovers in the last 55 seconds. That's a choke job. You can slice it any way you want to. You can't be great, great, great all the time, and then the moment comes where the game wanes, the pressure's on, and your palms get sweaty and your backside gets tight, and all of a sudden you can't make decisions that are right decisions. I want to go back to the positive by giving Andre Iguodala credit, because on one end, on the right wing, he's the one that stripped Kevin Durant. On the left wing, he strips Russell Westbrook and forces a turnover. He comes into the game with 6 minutes and 33 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and he was just absolutely stellar. The reigning NBA Finals MVP MVP was playing like that defensively and showed why he's Andre Iguodala, why he's the other AI for different reasons than the original AI, of course, but nevertheless potent in and all of itself. In the end, what it comes down to is the reigning, the defending NBA champions showed up, showed the poise necessary to remind everybody what champions are supposed to be made of. And those dudes in Oklahoma City aspiring to be champions were led by two superstars who acted like anything but, who choked when the pressure mounted, and as a result may have cost their team a trip to the finals. There is no other way to slice it. That is what happened in Game 6. And who knows what will happen in Game 7, because, again, when you make nonsensical, idiotic decisions down the stretch, you might be so lost that you're oblivious to the pressure of a Game 7. And who knows, Oklahoma City might be the type of team that shows up and gets it done. But we're talking about Game 6 for the moment. And Game 6 was a choke job.
Strong, harsh, true. I agree with you. My bottom line takeaway is that the Oklahoma City Thunder choked on the ear-splitting expectations generated by that crowd. You know it well there in Oklahoma City, Stephen A. There's not a louder crowd this side of Oracle. There may be a louder one at Oracle tonight. We'll see about that. But I thought that the expectations and the mounting ear-splitting pressure finally overwhelmed the two stars of the Oklahoma City Thunder. And by the way, let me just throw this out. Russell Westbrook, who's laughing now? I throw that out because, Stephen A., you know and I know, it ain't over yet. And I'll recite the old cliche, he who laughs last laughs best. So maybe Russell and company could get the last laugh tonight at Oracle. But right now, Steph Curry's the one not laughing, but grinning, because as we know, after that Game 5, Russell Westbrook appeared to be laughing at a question about Steph's defense. I just throw that out. Now, allow me to take one other quick left turn here, Mr. Smith. As you know, over the last week or so on the show, I finally said, okay, I give up, and I tried to take a seat at the very rear of the Oklahoma City Thunder bandwagon. As you know, I grew up in Oklahoma City, but I've been a Spurs fan since the George Gervin era. So I wasn't going to be a hypocrite when my hometown shockingly landed an NBA franchise. I couldn't just jump off the Spurs bandwagon because I got it in my blood now. I loved Iceman. I love those teams. I love the Duncan era teams from the start. And yet, I finally gave up and gave in last week, and I said, you know what? This team has arrived. This team has finally figured it out. How to close, how to win big playoff games. It has finally found itself. And then Saturday night, that happened. To me, my takeaway was Durant and Westbrook reverted to what I used to not like at all about them, that I thought they had corrected and grown out of. They turned back into the turnover twins down the stretch. We've seen it all too often. In truth, we saw it late in Game 5 against my Spurs. Big turnover by Durant, big turnover by Westbrook. But Tony Parker couldn't cash in. And Klay Thompson and Steph Curry just kept cashing and cashing and cashing in on those turnovers. The Thunder turned back into what I've called the Oklahoma City blunder. And to me, the biggest blunder, and if you want to blame this on the coaching staff or just on Russell, Stephen A., you're up 7 at home with 5 minutes left of the biggest games of your life, biggest game of your life, a chance to clinch an NBA Finals trip, your second NBA Finals trip against LeBron, and all of a sudden Russell goes into stall ball mode. He thinks he can kind of walk it up and sort of start dribbling out the clock. No, not against that team. You cannot dribble out the clock against Klay and Steph, especially when both of them have a hot hand at that point. And every clock possession to me degenerated into 10, 9, 8. Whose turn is it? You go, I go, turnover, turnover. They go the other way. One pass, boom, shot, game tied, up 3. You know the rest of the story. And yet, Stephen A., biggest picture to me, and we'll talk in our next block about who's going to win Game 7 tonight, but my biggest takeaway from this game, and I'm curious what you saw, I thought Golden State, by its gold standard basketball, 73 wins, I thought it played a pretty lousy basketball game until the final 5 minutes, except for that guy you started your soliloquy with, Klay Thompson. He's just making 3 after 3 to just barely keep them afloat and breathing. Barely. Just another 3. Remember, Oklahoma City's up 13 with 4.5 minutes left in the second quarter. Didn't you think it was a rout? I thought it was just teetering on a blowout.
No, Skip. I didn't think it was a rout. Here was why. I saw Kevin Durant come out and jack up 19 shots. What is it that we consistently rave about with Kevin Durant? It's not just his ability to score the basketball, it's the offensive efficiency. The fact that he doesn't force it, that he lets the game come to him, that he's almost unselfish to a fault. And nothing about that Kevin Durant showed up in the first half. He was trying to go, literally, he was going 1-on-3 at times. He was forcing shots. And I understand Billy Donovan saying, keep it going, don't lose your confidence or whatever. Kevin Durant wanted it, and I'm not going to fault him the way others were faulting him in the first half. Yeah. Because I understand you want it badly, and I'd rather you be victimized by being overly aggressive as opposed to being passive. Yeah. So I give him credit for that, but I was shocked at the decision-making that he was making. He wasn't setting up and getting solid shots. He was forcing one shot after another, and it just seemed so unlike him, almost like the moment was too big for him. Now, that's sacrilegious to say. This guy has played in closeout games in the playoffs before, and he's averaged 34 on better than 50% shooting in those games. So it's not like he panicked or anything like that in terms of his first half performance. He was just a little bit too anxious. But where the disappointment comes in, you talked about Oklahoma City and choking. No, Skip Bayless. I said Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. I'm not holding anybody else on their squad accountable. Roberson played well. Steven Adams and Enes Kanter and everybody else played within themselves. Those two guys forgot that they had their teammates around them. The trust that they showed in everybody throughout this series went right out the window when they sensed that they were 48 minutes away from a trip to the finals. It was almost as if they wanted to cement the fact that we are the reasons we're going there when everybody knows you're the reason they're going there, if indeed that were to be the case. And that's where this becomes so egregious, because you went away from what had been working for you for practically every game this series. If it was haphazard, that would be different. It was working. There was no, even in their Game 5 loss, it was working. There was no excuse to do what they did in Game 6, and it cost them.
Okay, but remember in a previous game, I think it was 5, when Kevin Durant went 3 for 10 in the fourth quarter, I pointed that out, and you said, well, at least he was shooting the ball. At least he cared enough that, like, he had the faith enough in himself to say, let me shoot these shots.
But Skip, he wasn't forcing it. The shots that he was taking when he only went 3 for 10, practically every shot was a typical Durant shot. Whereas if you looked in Game 6 and what transpired, particularly in the first half, and as the game waned, he was forcing it. I didn't see those forced shots in Game 5. It was clear they were forced in Game 6. There were times Chris Webber and then was pointing out on the telecast, because Chris Webber's just doing an outstanding job, by the way, and he was pointing out, you got a guy open right there, and Kevin Durant's not even looking at him. And that's not Kevin Durant. That's not what he does. But he did it in Game 6. He didn't do that so much in Game 5. There were open guys in Game 6, and he was completely ignoring them and just jacking up shots.
Okay, to your point, Enes Kanter, and whenever I've rooted against Oklahoma City, Enes scares me to death because, boy, he just makes shot after shot after shot. In this game, he'd made 4 out of 5 shots, didn't play a minute of the fourth quarter.
That's right.
Serge Ibaka has had a crazy hot
don't get me started with him.
Yeah, but he'd made 5 out of 9 shots going to the fourth quarter. He got 1 shot in the fourth quarter.
Well,
Waiters has had a hot hand in other games, didn't have one in this hand, got 1 shot in the fourth quarter. Those guys have all been big shot makers, and to your point, Westbrook, Durant just said, no, get out of our way. We do this. This is our team and our time and our moment, and they couldn't get it done.
I'm with you on Cantor and Waiters. Serge Ibaka's getting on my damn nerves. This guy made a name for himself, being a defensive wizard and a shot blocker extraordinaire. Skip, he did make 5 of 10 shots, okay? The 5 shots he missed were all threes. He went 1 for 6 from three-point range. What the hell are you doing shooting 6 threes in a game for if you are
made
Serge
a bunch
Ibaka?
of them in the series.
You're 6'10", maybe get your butt inside, okay? That's where you're needed. Golden State has nothing. They almost have nothing in the interior. I know Andrew Bogut can defend the front line, but he's pretty much the only one. Draymond Green has had block shots and he's rebounded, but those are usually against guards coming into the paint. A Serge Ibaka has plenty of action down low if he wants to be a man and go down low, which he is a man. Come on now.
Okay.
I'm not saying you don't take a couple of threes, but you don't shoot 6 threes in a game if you're Serge Ibaka.
Okay, but remember, when they go small and Steve Kerr sticks with Bogut, then they feel like they have a mismatch out at the three-point line because Bogut's not going to cover him. They're basically daring Ibaka to shoot those threes, and they got away with it this time.
Well, listen, you say they got away with it. What I'm saying to you is that sometimes you look at Golden State's defense this year, it's not the same defense it was last year. Some of those lanes are as wide as Broadway on a Sunday morning, okay? You can go to the lane, you can go to the hole, you can make things happen. I promise you, and certainly not comparing LeBron James to a Serge Ibaka, but the flip, or vice versa, actually, but the flip side is this. I promise you, if Golden State wins tonight and they're in the NBA Finals, what you're going to see is LeBron James going to the hole. You're going to see that an awful lot. You're not going to see guys settling for threes. That's what Golden State wants you to do, because if you miss them, what happens? It's a long rebound, which leads to fast breaks, which leads to them getting open shots on the break, which feeds their offense. You don't want to do that. You're playing into their hands.
Yep.
You want to take it to the rack when the opportunity provides itself. And if you're Serge Ibaka, again, a couple of threes, fine. 6 threes? That just reeks of softness to me. You are 6'10". You are built like a man. You can make things happen in the post. You could go to the free throw line and make shots. Taking a couple of threes is fine, but you can't be settling for it and make that a prolific part of your offense and expect to win. I don't believe that.
Okay, but when they go in, they look great, and it feels great.
Well, damn it, they ain't going to Game 6.
Okay.
And it didn't take long to figure out they weren't going in.
I got you, but what about when your 2 co-stars combined to go 1 for 13 from 3? Let's talk about that. What about how about the other 2 co-stars combined to go 17 for 32 from 3, mostly because of Clay, obviously, making his 11. But my point is, when 2 co-stars make 17 and your 2 co-stars in OKC make 1, it's 17-1. That's 16 more threes times 3. That's 48 more points. You're going to be in trouble.
But Skip Bayless, I can tell you this. The word choke covers a lot of territory.
Yeah.
I don't have to go into those details. I said choke. I mean, what way do you want me to slice it? The turnovers, the three-point shooting? What do you want me to do? I mean, the ill-advised shots in the first half. I'm saying to you, I addressed that with one word, choke.
Yep.
It's just that simple. But the point is that in the end, I believe in Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant and that they can make amends for that performance in terms of how they could potentially perform in Game 7.
I would agree.
I'm not calling them chokers. I'm just talking specifically about what I witnessed in Game 6.
Yep.
Having said all of that, those other guys, you got to play within yourself. And if you Serge Ibaka, you're a man. You've been a man for years. You're one of the primary reasons they sat up there and said, okay, we can let James Harden go to Houston since he wants to be the man so badly. Because we gonna keep Serge. Well, you got to do it. If they wanted another 3-point shooter, they had kept James Harden. Okay? You got to show up and be a man in the post area. Come on now. You can't do that.
Not
6
sure he ever
threes for
has
Serge
been.
Ibaka? I mean, come on.
I think he's like a mid-range to three-point shooter. Remember what he did to my Spurs? What was it, 5 years ago?
Mid-range is fine.
Made 10 out of 10 in a game. Okay, that's fine.
Mid-range is fine. Your 6'10" behind don't need to be more than 19 feet away from the basket and beyond.
Okay.
No, you need to get closer to the basket and play a man's game.
Last quick point. We know what Klay Thompson can do. By the way, Klay scored 37 points in 1 quarter against Sacramento. Think about that. 37. It's craziness. It's video gameness. We know he can do that on any given night. He can also go cold on any given night. But here's my bottom line takeaway. I keep hearing, I don't know what you're hearing, but I've heard from a whole lot of people around the NBA that Steph Curry just ain't right. That his knee can't be much better than 50%. I keep hearing speculation from people I trust, people I've known for the longest, who say, you just know he's going to need some kind of surgical cleanup procedure on that knee once the season is over. That he no longer has the same stop-start quickness, the step-back quickness that he's had. Yet, when that guy has smelled blood in both Games 5 late and Game 6 late, can you believe how Steph, on 50% of a knee, if it's that in fact, how he just wills the ball in the basket? I mean, it's just, listen, this guy, what he has when he keeps pounding his heart, hey, he's special. What he is made of is special. He made those 2 late threes, and they were just kind of set shot threes from distance.
But that's the whole point.
Okay, but then
31, 10, and 9 is 31, 10, and 9. It's
okay,
special.
but to your final point about Ibaka, that dagger shot, that dagger banker that Steph made over Ibaka to clinch it at the end, you know, the little runner up off the glass with Ibaka lunging, trying to block it.
And fading away.
Yeah, he faded it in mid-flight. He faded and made it off the glass soft. I'm like, what a shot. What a gutsy close-it-out shot. Klay made a bunch of great shots. He made these shots. Steph did. And that's why he's the back-to-back most valuable player.
I mean, he's a bad boy. We all know this. I mean, he's the most. I mean, listen, he's very deserving of being the 2-time league MVP. He's a superstar of the highest order because more than anything, he closes. When it's time, he doesn't mind at all. He's going to close the deal. He's got Jordan-esque qualities.
He does.
Kobe qualities, D-Wade qualities in that regard. He's going to close. There's no question about it. But now, again, because of his greatness and because it's supplemented by the great shooting of Klay Thompson, we are going to find out about Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. I just can't wait. I wish the game was right now. I wish the game was right now.
I can't wait to hear your prediction in our next block.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. ABC always be closing. So OKC missing out on a golden opportunity there, as Stephen A. described, a choke job. To put this in perspective, the last time a team came back from a 3-1 deficit in a conference finals was 35 years ago. The Celtics from the brink of elimination. The Warriors are now on the brink of the NBA Finals. Will they complete the comeback? That is next. Predictions. Stay with us.